Okay, before we begin, I'd like you guys to confirm for me that you can hear me and that you can see my screen. And just go ahead and type in the chat that you can see me, that you can hear me, as well as see my screen. Okay, perfect. Okay, cool. Sorry for the delay. I just slow Sunday morning and I started the wrong meeting. But nevertheless, let's begin. Okay, perfect. YouTube, for those of you who are on YouTube, please confirm with me as well that you guys can hear me. Okay, perfect. Okay, assalamu alaikum and good morning. Welcome back to grade 9 finance. Okay, maths by Inspired Teens. In today's lesson, we'll be covering finance. Okay, so last time we ended on proportionality. We need to finish, well, we did like the rate and ratio, and we did direct and indirect proportion. Now we're going to continue with some finance, okay? Like interest, simple interest, compound interest, exchange rates, all of that. And then the topic after this, which most likely is going to be next week, is going to be integers, okay? Please remember that if you do have any questions, please feel free to ask them in the chat, in the Q&A, or alternatively in the YouTube chat as well, for those of you who are there. Okay, so let's begin. So before anything, we are going to just do some revision on percentages. Okay, so firstly, a percent means per 100. Okay, obviously this is a revision from grade 7 or whenever you've done it. Okay, so let's look at actually the third question first. They say calculate 35% of 700 Rand. So how we do that is we say 35 over 100, okay, which represents percentage. Percentage is per 100, meaning an amount divided by 100. Okay. So if you want to calculate 35% of 100, remember 35% means 35 over 100. Of means times, and then we put the amount 700. Okay. So I'm sure most of you are allowed to use a calculator. At this point, you'd use a calculator. If you're not, which I highly doubt that is the case, but then you can just cancel zeros, one at the top, one at the bottom. You have 35 times 7. Okay, it's slightly less complicated. Maybe you want to rather simplify the 35 and the 100, but nevertheless, you end up with an answer of 245 Rand. Okay, let's look at the first one. It says, if a theater can seat 260 people, what percentage of the theater would be occupied if 104 of the seats were occupied? In this case, we want to calculate the percentage that's occupied. Okay, so the percentage occupied, okay, is going to actually be the number of occupied, which is 104, divided by the total number of available seats. So always in your denominator, right, you want to have the total possible. Okay, whenever you calculating what percentage is something out of another number. For example, your marks, right, you always have your mark, okay, over the total possible marks. Okay, how many marks is your test out of 70? Okay, an example. Always in that case, and you always multiply by 100 to convert it to a percentage. Okay, so that's how we do this example. So again, we can utilize our calculator and we get 40% in this case, okay, after multiplying by 100. What percentage is 126 of 210? Same concept, 126 over 210 multiplied by 100. We get an answer of 60%. Okay, so just a quick revision of how percentages work and how we work with percentages. Okay, next, let's talk about percentage increase or percentage decrease. Okay, so these formulas are key. If we are increasing a percentage, okay, what we do is we say 100 plus that percentage increase divided by 100 multiplied by the given value. So whatever you're increasing is the given value. Whichever value you are increasing is the given value. So you're going to say 100 plus the percentage you're increasing by divided by 100 multiplied by the given value. When it comes to decreasing a percentage, it's 100 minus the percentage divided by 100 times the given value. Let's do an example. Okay, let's just do two of these, just an increase and just a decrease, right? So goods cost 525 excluding VAT. What will they cost with VAT? So when they say with VAT, VAT is a percentage increase. You have to increase that price. It's a 15% percentage increase. Okay, so what is the method? 100 plus the percentage divided by 100. So 100 plus 15% divide, well, just 15 divided by 100. Okay, multiplied by 522. Okay, please just confirm if you guys can still hear me. Just because I was signed out, but it should be okay. Okay, perfect. So, all right, 100 plus 1 plus 15 divided by 100 times 525. When you do that calculation, you get an answer of approximately 603 Rand and 75. Thank you guys for that. Okay, this is another percentage increase, inflation. Let's look at this one, which is a percentage decrease. Okay, shoes marked at 325 Rand are marked down 25% on sale. What would you pay for them on sale? So percentage decrease, 100 minus that percentage divided by 100 multiplied by the given value. So 100 minus 25 divided by 100 times 325 Rand. We do that calculation and we get 243 Rand 75. Okay, let's just quickly do this backward example number 4. Menkwe bought a pair of shoes for 274 Rand during a 25% sale. What was the original price of the shoes? Okay, so now we know that on sale, when it was 25% less, okay, it was 274 Rand. We don't, however, know the original price. Can't hear. I don't think that's everyone. If you can't hear me, I think you might need to be. The rest of you guys can hear me, right? Sorry, just to confirm. Okay, generally if people can hear, they need to either join the audio or they need to refresh their Zoom. Okay. If you guys can hear and someone types in the chat that they can hear, please just tell them to join the audio. Okay. Okay. So in this case, right, the price that she paid was 274. Okay. So we know how much she paid, but we need to keep in mind that that was on sale. Okay. So that was the sale price. That was after the discount was given. So of course the original price was more expensive. Okay. So in this case, we know the answer to a percentage decrease. However, we don't know the amount that we actually decrease. So we can utilize the same formula, 100 minus percent, because it's a sale, divided by 100, multiplied by given value is equal to, I'm going to call this sale price. We utilize the same formula, but now we need to substitute what we know, okay, and then work with our unknown. So firstly, I know the sale price. I know that the sale price is 274. Given value is actually what they want me to calculate. I don't know the value. I don't know the value of what this shoe costed before the discount. 100 minus the percentage marked down, which is 25. I know that. okay, divided by 100. So now I basically have an equation with one unknown. It's just that it's kind of backwards, okay? So you must always get used to it, right? From now, get used to not like a lot of the times, right? When you learn in class or when you learn the straightforward questions, it's a lot easier to do utilizing the formula. Okay, but when it's working, when you work backwards, okay, you need to develop the skill of at least being able to write out the formula, substituting what you have and work from there. Okay, there's no harm in writing a formula instead of looking at the question and thinking, oh, what am I going to do here? I don't know, and then not writing anything. At least try it by writing out the formula that you usually use, substitute what you know, and maybe you'll be able to solve it that way, right? So now what we do is this is 125 over 100. We can take that over as multiplication, and that is division. It becomes 274 times 100 divided by 75. Okay, when you do that calculation, you get 365 Rand 33. Okay, so the rest of the examples that we left out, you guys can practice those on your own. Calculate the percentage markup of food costing. Okay, then we have, okay, sorry. So the first one was increasing or decreasing by a percentage. Okay, this one here is a percentage increase or decrease, calculating the percentage increase or decrease. How much was a certain value increased or decreased by? Okay, so here we have two values and we need to calculate how much was it increased by or how much was it decreased by. Okay, so in this case, they say calculate the percentage markup if goods costing 45.50 were sold for 69 Rand. So in this case, we need to calculate percentage markup, which is actually a percentage increase. So let's look at the formula for percentage increase. Percentage increase is the bigger value minus the smaller value. Okay, and of course we have to multiply by 100, which is not here. Let's just add it. Multiply by 100. Okay, and multiply by 100 to convert it into a percentage, right? Then we have percentage decrease. How do we calculate that? Percentage decrease is equal to the bigger value minus the smaller value over the bigger value. Okay, so that's the big difference. You're just dividing by the bigger value. So calculate the percentage markup if the goods costing 45 Rand 50 were sold for 69 Rand. So in this case, we need to calculate what is the percentage increase. 69, bigger value, minus smaller value, 45.50, divided by, in this case, we divide by the smaller value, 45.50. When we do the calculation, we get an answer of 51.65%. The percentage markup was 51.65. Okay, let's look at a percentage markdown. Okay, a book marked at 148.50 is sold for 118.75. What percentage discount was given? Okay, so this is a percentage markdown, percentage decrease. For percentage decrease, we're going to use the formula. The bigger value, which is 148.50, minus the smaller value, which is 118.77, divided by, in this case, we don't divide by the smaller value, we divide by the bigger value. Okay, I forgot to say multiply by 100. Okay, divided by the bigger value, 148.50 times 100 is going to give us the percentage decrease, which is 20.02%. Okay, so that's percentage increase or decrease. Now let's relate it to finance. Let's talk about profit or loss. So profit, okay, is basically when you sell things, okay, you buy it for a certain price and then you sell it for more than you bought it, right? To make a profit so that you can make money. So profit is equal to the selling price minus the cost price, and it's a positive value. Loss is also the selling price minus the cost price, but a loss is when you sell it for less than you actually purchased it for. Okay, that's why it's called a loss. If you want to calculate what percentage profit it is, it's profit over cost times 100. If you want to calculate the percentage loss, it's loss over cost times 100. Okay, it's just basically percentage. Okay, now it's just related to finance. Okay, Tabiso bought 10 tickets for a soccer match for 90 Rand each. He sells 4 for 110 each and the rest for 70 Rand each. Determine if he made a profit or a loss. Okay, so let's calculate his cost price. So he bought 10 tickets for 90 Rand each. So his cost price is 10 times 90. His cost price is 900 Rand. Let's calculate his selling price, total selling price. So he sells 4 for 110 Rand. So 4 times 110. So from those 4 tickets, he makes 440 Rand. Plus, he also sells the rest for 70 Rand each. If he bought 10, he's left with 6. So 6 times 70. Sorry. 6 times 70. That means he makes 420 Rand. Yes, this will be put on the Google Drive, correct. All things, everything that we do will be put on the Google Drive. His total selling price is 860 Rand. If I do make any calculation errors, please let me know. So his selling price is 900. I mean, his cost price is 900, but his selling price is 860. Okay, so basically here what we're doing is we are calculating. So they want us to determine whether he made a profit. So in order to make a profit, when you say selling price minus cost price, it needs to be a positive value. Okay, because you need to sell goods for more than you purchased. In this case, he bought tickets. Let's highlight. He bought tickets for 90 Rand each. He sold 4 for 110 and the rest for 70. So he sold 6 for 70 Rand each. 6 tickets for 70 Rand each. So the blue highlight is his cost price, okay, which is 10 times 90 Rand, which is 900 Rand. And the purple are his selling prices respectively, okay? So initially he sold 4 for 110 Rand. He got a high price, but then nobody wanted to buy it. So you were selling it last minute really cheap. And then 6 people bought them for 70 Rand each. So that's why I'm doing this calculation to say 4 times 110, that's how much money he made from the first 4 tickets. 6 times 70, that's how much money he made from the last 6 tickets. Combine the two. Okay, combine the two and we get an answer of 860 Rand. So remember, profit or loss is equal to selling price minus cost price, which is 860 minus 900. Since we are getting a negative value of negative 40 Rand, this means that he made a loss. Therefore, it is a loss. He lost out on 40 Rand, okay, because he sold those tickets for such a cheap price. Okay, so he made a loss. Determine the percentage profit or loss. So lost over cost times 100. Loss over cost times 100. So 40 over, what is his cost? 900 Rand times 100. We do this calculation 1, 2, 3, 4. 40 divided by 9 is basically around 4.44%. Okay, so we're just utilizing these formulas: percentage loss, percentage profit, or percentage loss formulas. Profit over cost times 100 or loss over cost times 100. Okay, so in this case, Tabiso made a loss of 4.44%. Okay, let's move on. That last question you guys can do yourself. Okay, let's talk about simple interest. This should be a revision from grade 9. Okay, so we have 2 formulas for simple interest. The first of which is this P times R times T over 100, where P is the principal amount deposited, R is the interest rate in percent, and T is time in years. Okay, you can utilize each formula, either formula, okay? I'm going to be utilizing this formula. The reason for that is because it's more future-proof, right? In next year, next grades, you're not going to be using this formula. You are going to mainly be using this formula, and also you'll see that the compound interest formula is very similar to this. Okay, so I'd prefer that we learn this formula, okay, so that we're more prepared for the future. So this formula is A is equal to P into 1 plus I times N. Okay, so it's basically, it is an it is a simple interest formula, right? I think we all pretty much know what interest is. Interest is basically if you take a loan or if you're borrowing money, when you're paying that money back, you're always going to pay extra than what you borrowed. Okay, so that's what interest is. Alternatively, you could earn interest as well. You earn interest by in different ways, right? If you invest your money, you could earn a certain amount of interest. It's basically money that you earn just for keeping money in a certain bank account, or money that you pay because you borrowed a certain amount of money, right? So let's look at what each variable means. Firstly, we have A, okay? A is what we call the after interest amount, okay, or accumulated amount. No idea if that's spelled right, but it doesn't matter. Okay, it's the accumulated amount after interest. So basically, as you can see, this calculation is calculating how much you're going to owe after interest. Okay, then we can talk about P. P is the principal amount. Okay, P is the principal amount deposited or previous, meaning prior to interest. So before interest was added to this amount, that was the value of whatever the loan is or whatever it is, right? Then we have R, which is interest rate. Then we have N, which is time in years. So interest rate, at what rate are you paying interest? At what rate are you earning interest? That is what we call I. And N is the time, meaning the amount of years. Okay, for now, we just learn N as the amount of years. So one more time, we have A. Okay, let's start off with P, and then we'll work to A last. So we have P. P is just the primary amount, okay, or prior to interest. One is one. I is an interest rate. N is the number of years, and then A is after those number of years, and after you add all the interest, that's how much the amount grows to. Okay, that's what A is, after interest amount or accumulated amount. Okay, the formula can be manipulated as follows. You can learn it like this. Okay, you can by heart this if you'd like, but again, to rearrange this formula is just basic algebra. So you can just use algebra. You don't have to by heart these formulas, but if you want to, this is, if they're asking N, if they're asking I, if they're asking P, this formula can be rearranged as follows. Okay, let's go ahead and look at our first example. Okay, 12,000 Rand was invested for 7 years. Okay, so firstly, I'm going to highlight key things. 12,000 Rand was invested for 7 years, and simple interest was calculated at 10.5%. PA stands for per annum, which is basically per year. Okay, and that's what all our interest is per year. It's calculated per year, right? What is the investment worth after 7 years? We do it differently in class. Do you utilize this formula in class? Okay, so it's the same thing. I will do this first example utilizing both formulas. Okay, the reason that I'm saying why I would like you guys to use this formula, just because in the grades after, you guys are going to only be using this formula. Okay, so I've highlighted key things, and so should you whenever you're doing a finance question, right? Up until matric, it's important to highlight the key concepts, okay, so that you can understand what's going on. So firstly, it says that 12,000 Rand was invested for 7 years, and simple interest was calculated at 10.5% per annum. What is the investment worth after 7 years? So somebody tell me, this 12,000 Rand, is it A or is it P? Is that after interest was added to that, or was that before interest? Okay, P before interest, A. Okay, so it is actually P. It's before interest. It's not A. Okay, because they say that 12,000 Rand was invested for 7 years. Okay, they didn't say that an investment grew to 12,000 Rand after 7 years. So somebody invested this 12,000 Rand for 7 years. Okay, and because you invest that money, the bank is going to pay you interest. Okay, so the 12,000 Rand was invested for 7 years. Then after those 7 years, it will grow to a higher amount. okay, once the interest is added. So this 12,000 is actually P. Now 7 years, that's our N. That's the number of years. They even say how much is it worth after 7 years. Simple interest, okay, we know simple interest. We know the formula to use. Was calculated at 10% per annum. That is our interest rate. And they say, what is the investment worth after, keyword after 7 years? They want to know what is the value of A. What is the accumulated amount? What is the amount after interest after 7 years? Okay. So firstly, we're going to use our formula, which is A into P1 plus I times N. 12,000 is P. So we put it there. 1 plus percentage. Okay, so you're going to either write the percentage as a decimal by dividing it by 100, or you're going to actually write 10,5%. Okay, you have to add the percent because then otherwise it's just 10,5. 10,5% times what is N? N is number of years, which is 7. Then you take out your calculator, and in your calculator there is a percentage sign, so you can utilize that. 12,000 open brackets 1 plus 10.5%, 7. And I am getting an answer of, if you guys are doing it, please check. Okay, no problem. We'll try my best to. Okay, I am getting an answer of 20,820. Okay, let us do it using the other formula, which is P times R times T over 100. Simple interest is equal to P times R times T divided by 100. Okay. In this case, P is our principal amount, which is 12,000, times R, which is our interest rate, 10.5%, times T. T is the time in years, divided by 100. When I do this calculation, I get an answer of 88. Wait, what's the issue? I don't think we're supposed to use percentage in this case. Okay, yeah. So in this formula, you will not be using percentage. It's just the interest rate. Okay. The simple reason for that is because when you are dividing it by 100, you are already converting it to a percentage. Okay. So do not use percentage. Okay. Just use the actual rate, the decimal value of the rate. Why? Because this dividing by 100 is already accounting for converting it into a percentage. Remember, percentage is always over 100. Okay. So please keep that in mind. Do not use the percentage in this case. So here we get rid of this guy. Okay, we are just multiplying it by 10,5. That's when you get the answer of 8,820. Okay, so a two-step calculation. Why? Because you see this formula calculates the simple interest only, while this formula calculates the accumulated amount where you're adding the principal amount and the interest one time. So this does it all together. In this one, you're just going to calculate simple interest, and then you're going to have to add the principal amount, because they say, what is the investment worth after 7 years? So remember, the investment is not just worth what the interest is. The investment is worth the principal amount plus the simple interest. Okay, and that's going to be equal to 12,000 plus the 8,820. That gives us the 20,820 Rand of the worth of the investment. So we're going to get the same answer. Shorter calculation here gives you the accumulated amount one time, while this one just gives you the simple interest. So perhaps if they ask, what is the interest, how much interest in the investment earn, then you could utilize that formula. Okay. Number 2, how much interest did the investment earn? So in this case, if we use this formula, we can just say A minus P. A minus B is always equal to R. A minus B is always equal to the amount of interest earned. A is after interest, 20,820 minus P, which is 12,000. And that gives us, okay, not technically not R, but let's just say interest earned or simple interest. And this is equal to 8,820. However, in the case of this question, because we already calculated it, we can straight just give the answer 820, 8,820, sorry. Okay. We're just utilizing both methods. Okay, we're going to try and do an example with each. Okay, maybe not. Maybe we'll just do 2. And we can move on to hire purchase loan. And then compound interest. Okay, after 4 years, right, 6,500 in a savings account had accumulated to 7,800. Calculate the simple interest earned as a percentage. Okay, so firstly, I have 4 years. I have 6,500. I have 7,800, and they want me to calculate the simple interest. So what they want to know is we have N. Okay, now I need help distinguishing between these two amounts. We haven't done hire purchase loan. Have you not done it yet, or are you not going to do it at all? Are you guys still busy with finance in school, or are you done with finance in school? Okay, no problem. I won't do hire purchase. Busy. Yeah, hire purchase is actually not in your syllabus. I put it here in case some of you might have done it. But if nobody has done it, then we won't do it. We have done it. Okay. Okay, okay, no problem. You haven't started yet. When you say you haven't started yet, you haven't started finance, haven't started hire purchase. Can I just get a quick, just from everyone that's here, please just let me know one of 3 things. With regards to hire purchase loan, you can either say, like done, even if you're doing it or going to do it, as long as you've seen it, it's in your syllabus, you know that it's there, just say done it, just say not doing it, or just say don't know, one of the 3, and I'm away. Okay, quite a few people don't know, but quite a few people have done it. Okay, many don't know. Okay, but it's not that complicated. It's to do with simple interest. So I feel like we can do it because it will be practice for simple interest as well. Okay. Nevertheless, let's continue with this question, right? So it says after 4 years, okay, so 4 years, meaning in 6,500 in a savings account had accumulated to 7,800. Calculate the simple interest rate as earned as a percentage. Okay. Okay, cool. Okay, so somebody tell me this 6,500, okay, it's one of 2 things. It's either A or it's either P, all right? Just remember, P is before interest or prior to interest, P for prior, and A is after interest, A for after. Someone tell me, what is this amount? 6,500, is P or is it A? Okay, good. P. Indeed, this is P. This is prior to interest. Prior to interest being earned, this amount was 6,500, right? On the onset of the opening of this account, that is what they invested. They took 6,500. They said, okay, listen, I'm putting it into a bank account and I'm going to invest it. And in 4 years, I want this thing to grow. Okay, so that is the amount prior to interest. Okay, that would make 7,800 after the amount after interest. So yes, this is a savings account. It is going to be an increase in interest. You're going to earn interest. So therefore, we expect the after amount to be bigger than the prior amount. Okay, we'll make note of a variance in the calculation for loans. Okay, so Now, what we're going to do is, remember what we did earlier? We did the percentage calculation earlier. So here is the same concept, right? So again, you can, because we're calculating I, you can utilize this formula, the already rearranged formula, okay? If you don't want to memorize it, then you're going to do it the regular way, okay? So this, again, is a skill that you need to develop. It's when the question is asked backwards, you need to be able to utilize your formula and manipulate the variables. You need to be able to isolate variables, meaning leave variables on their own. Even if they're on the top of a fraction or the bottom of the fraction, you need to be able to shuffle around the equation to leave that specific variable that you want. You need to leave it alone. So what is my formula? My formula is A is equal to P into 1 plus I times N. Now I need to fill in all the information that I have. 7,800 is my after interest, is equal to 6,500 is my prior to interest or previous amount. 1 plus I is my unknown. N, I know, N is 4 years. So again, I'm writing out the formula, even though A is not the purpose of this calculation. A is not what we need to calculate. I am still writing out the formula to calculate A. However, I have certain unknowns and certain knowns. My unknown is, of course, interest. In this case, I know the answer to this calculation. I just don't know one of the variables within the calculation. So now I need to manipulate the formula. Okay, so here we have basically bracket multiplication. So that's the first thing we can take over is this 6,500, which is multiplied to that other bracket. It's multiplication. So when I take it to the other side, it's going to become division. So 7,800 divided by 6,500, or 1,000 actually, or 100 actually, sorry, is equal to 1 plus I times 4. Now, this I'm just going to not major simplifications. I can cancel the zeros. Each 2 zeros on top, 2 zeros at the bottom. So I'm left with 78 over 65. Maybe I can simplify that more. I don't really care. I just simplified it a little bit to make our life a bit easier. Now I have 1 plus I times 4. Now, maybe some of you will think, okay, I can take this 4 over to divide. That's not the case. We first have to take over the 1. The 1 on the right-hand side is actually a positive 1. It's just 1. So when I take it over, I have 78 over 65 is 78 over 65 minus 1 is equal to I times 4. Or we can even say 4I, right? Same thing. So I'm going to try and do the calculation on the left and see if I get a nice number. So when I do 78 over 65 minus 1, I actually get 1 over 5. Or 0.2, 1 over 5, 0.2. Let's choose 0.2. Now, because I have multiplication of 4 on the right-hand side, I could divide both sides by 4 and let that cancel so that I have 0.2 divided by 4, which is now equal to I. So when I do this calculation, I get an answer of 0.05, okay? This is a percentage written as a decimal. How do we convert decimals to percentages? Multiply by 100. In that case, I get an answer of 5%. Okay, let me just be checking our answers are correct. Okay, yes, correct. 5%. Yes, most likely. I'm not sure if Mathslit has simple interest. Mathslit might have something to do with simple interest. But yeah, don't be considering dropping maths just because of simple interest. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. All right, so if you look at the second two, okay, for example, after 8 years, a savings account had accumulated to 9,500. Again, the word accumulated to, that's also another key to say that, okay, that's the after or accumulated amount. So after 8 years, a savings account had accumulated to 9,500 and the simple interest rate calculated was quoted at 5% per annum. Again, per annum is per year. How much, not how much money was originally put into the savings account? Let's just highlight that word. So remember the N is the amount of years. It was there for 8 years, right? after 8 years. You see, even the keyword after 8 years, it had accumulated to 9,500. So this is the amount after interest, after they invested it for 8 years. And the simple interest was 5% per annum. So this is our I. They're asking us, how much was the original amount? They are asking for P. They are asking for P. Okay, so again, you're going to utilize this formula. A is equal to P into 1 plus I times N. You're going to manipulate that formula accordingly. Again, here are the set rearranging of each equation, leaving each variable alone. All right, I've done it for you. So in case you want to memorize it, if it makes it easier, you can go ahead and do that, right? So that's what we do in that case. Let us identify our variables, what's known and what's unknown here. So it says 10,000 Rand was placed into a savings account and it had accumulated to 14,000 Rand. The savings account earns a simple interest of 12% per annum. How long was the money invested for? So firstly, how long was it invested for? That kind of unknown is our time. N is the unknown. We don't know what N is. Okay, 10,000 Rand was placed into the savings account initially, basically. And then it had accumulated to 14,800. So it grew to 14,800. So this is P prior to interest, the 10,000 Rand. And the 14,800 is after interest, after it had grown with interest, right? After being invested for these 8 years. So again, we're going to use A is equal to P, open brackets 1 plus I times N. And we have A, we have P, we have I. They want us to calculate N. Okay, so someone is saying that they did a formula. A is equal to P into 1 plus N times R or N times I. Okay, because R is the same as percentage. Okay, R is just rate and then I is interest. Okay, so R and I similar. Okay, so all this is right. It is the exact same formula, guys. Okay, all this, the difference is when you say I, or I'm just going to say R times N, right, is in this formula. For R, you're not going to put the percentage. Okay, you are going to say, for example, just say the years are just say dot plus 7 years, okay, plus 7 years times, just say the percentage is 12%. So you're going to say 7 times 12 over 100. Okay, and that's how you're going to get your answer. However, in this case, what you're saying is 12%. You are putting the percentage symbol. 12% times R, which is 7 years. Okay, so it's the exact same thing, and you guys can use that formula if you like. It's just that here you're putting the percent. However, here they're accounting for that percentage by putting it over 100. This is literally saying 7 times 12 over 100. Or just in the order of the other formula, 12 over 100 times 7. It's the same thing. 12 over 100 is 12%. Or you could even say 0.12. That's the value of 12 over 100. Okay, 0.12 times 7. It's just a matter of expressing that percentage. However, you can utilize this way. And why I like this way is because it's less numbers. In your calculator, you have a percentage symbol that you can utilize. So you can put in your calculator 12% times 7, and you'd get the same answer as 7 times 12 over 100. We're going to do compound interest next. Okay, so I hope that makes sense, right? It's the exact same formula. Okay, let us look at a hire purchase loan. Okay, so hire purchase loans may differ slightly, right? Now, firstly, when it comes to hire purchase loan, firstly, it's a loan, right? So when it comes to a loan, simple interest, okay? However, because it's a loan, right? The formula, which is A is equal to P into 1 plus I times N, or R times N. Again, same thing, right? The formula differs slightly because we are, oh wait, actually, let me just think. Never mind, it doesn't differ because you're adding interest to a loan. 1 times I, 1 plus I times N. Okay, simple interest. So let's read what they say. Goods like furniture, appliances, etc. are sometimes purchased on loan where the money is supplied by a financial institution. The interest paid on a hire purchase loan is always simple interest. A certain percentage of the purchase price must always be paid in cash. This cash amount is called the deposit. Okay, the interest is calculated on the full loan amount, but not on the deposit paid. Loan amount is equal to purchase price minus deposit. The loan is repaid in equal monthly installments. Okay, so let's just explain this, right? So a hire purchase loan is basically, just say you go to the shop or you go to like Game or something, and they offer you a TV cost like 10,000 Rand, but you don't have 10,000 Rand cash on you, but you want this TV. So they offer you something called a hire purchase loan, where basically they say, okay, listen, this TV costs 10,000 Rand, right? We can offer you to pay it over in monthly installments. However, you are going to have to make a deposit, let's just say of 2,000 Rand. And then the rest of the 8,000 Rand, you're going to have to pay off monthly, but they are going to charge you interest on it. Okay. So basically, when they charge you interest on it, at the end of your 8,000 Rand payments, you're actually going to be paying more than 8,000 Rand. Okay. Because obviously you're paying it over time. They are supplying you the product without immediate payment. So that's why they charge you long term. This meeting at 8:50. Normally it ends at 8:50. Because we started a bit late, I'll end like a few minutes late. It will end at 8:50, not at 9. Okay. So a furniture shop, let's look at this example. A furniture shop is selling dining room tables for 23,100. A customer pays a deposit of 10%. That's why it's important for us to learn percentages, and takes out a hire purchase loan on the balance over a period of 24 months at a simple interest rate of 8% per annum. Calculate how much the customer will pay as a deposit. Number one, the deposit amount is 10% of the purchase price. Okay, the purchase price or the selling price for this dining room table is 23,100. So remember, how do we calculate the percentage of something? 10 over 100 times 23,100. Okay, and the answer to this is 2,310 Rand. So the deposit amount is 2,310 Rand. Number two, calculate the loan amount. Okay, so what you actually are loaning, because technically you are loaning, right, from the furniture shop, because they're giving you the goods and the goods cost money, but you don't have that money. So it's like you're technically loaning that money, you buy the goods, and now you're paying off that loan. Okay, so calculate the loan amount. The loan amount is always the purchase price minus the deposit. The purchase price minus the deposit. So 23,100 minus 23,100 minus 2,310, and okay, we get an amount of, I actually don't have that amount, 20,790. Okay, let's look at number 3. Calculate, how much will the customer pay in total for the furniture? Okay, so this is an interesting question that we have to answer completely. How much will they pay in total for the furniture? So firstly, they are paying a deposit of 2,310 Rand. And secondly, they are going to pay these monthly installments, okay, for 24 months, okay, and they are going to pay interest. So technically, this year is going to be 2,310 plus P plus simple interest. So 2,310 plus the loan amount, which is P, the principal amount, the prior to interest, plus the simple interest. This can be represented by A. Remember, A is after interest. how much has it accumulated to after interest, right? That's what A is. So in this case, we have to calculate A. So remember, A is equal to P into, I'm just going to use that formula that you guys have just to show you it's similar or the same rather. So A is equal to P. Now remember, P is not 23,100 because 23,100 is not the amount the loan was taken for. We paid a deposit, or this person paid a deposit. So it's going to be minus that deposit. That's actually how much you are loaning because you had 2,310 Rand that you paid in cash. So you don't have to loan that money because you had it and you paid towards it. Now that minus that, which is the loan amount, is actually A. So it's the 20,790 Rand. That is actually the loan amount. 1 plus, let's move a bit down. 1 plus R, sorry. 1 plus R, they gave us the interest, simple interest rate, 8%. Okay, so the interest rate is 8%. I'm just going to put 8 times the number of years. It's 24 months, which is 2 years. Okay, don't make the mistake of putting 24. 2 over 100. Okay, when I do this calculation, I get an amount that A is equal to 24,116.40 Rand. Okay, and that is correct, I believe. Okay, perfect. You got the same answer. Great. So this is the amount, okay, that you have paid after interest. So the loan, you take out a loan, and then after those 2 years, you add up all your monthly installments, and that's what you end up paying, 24,116 Rand 40 cents. However, the question specifically states what is the total for the furniture. Remember, don't forget about that cash deposit that we paid in the beginning. So it's the 2,310 plus the 24,116.40 plus 2,310. You get the final answer as 26,426 Rand and 40 cents. So this is the total that you end up paying for the furniture in 24 months. So the furniture cost originally 23,100, but you end up paying 26,400. Yes, it's more, but you benefit because you get the product immediately and you don't have to pay a lump sum of 23,000. You are paying monthly installments over time. And yes, you did end up paying more, but you get that benefit of getting the product immediately. Okay, so let's end it there on number 3. When we come back next week, we will continue with number 4. Then we will move on to compound interest. Okay, we have compound interest and we have exchange rates, and then we'll move on to integers. Okay, can I just get, before we leave, can I just get a quick, I want you guys to just tell me in the chat, what topic are you guys currently busy with? Just so that I can gauge and get an understanding of what topic you guys are currently busy with. Rate, okay, so some of you are still on rate. Exponents, okay, you guys are already on exponents, which makes sense because that's what you should be doing. Starting integers tomorrow. Fractions, already, you guys are already on fractions. FOIL, rational, irrational, integers, division. Okay, integers, exponents. Okay, so most of you are done with finance and rate and whole numbers as a whole, no pun intended. But and then most of you are busy with integers and exponents. Okay, cool, no problem. We will get there eventually. All the best to you guys. Have a good week at school. If there are no questions further, we can end it here. Thank you guys so much for joining. Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum and goodbye. No problem. You guys are welcome.